This is a brief explanation of the probability of forming a cell by chance. My conclusion is that you can't form life by chance. I'm going to go quickly through this to keep it short. You can look at my longer presentations for more details. Could it? What would have to happen? Well, it has to have DNA to form modern cells. And DNA and language are similar. The bases are sort of like letters, and there are 4 letters, A, T, C, G. And you put them together in triplet codes, like little words. And the groups of words in a gene can form proteins and make a cell organelle or some other functional structure, sort of like a paragraph or a chapter. So DNA and language are similar in that they are both specific and complex. Non-specific complex is just random letters. Specific and non-complex are like repeating letters or crystals. And DNA needs to be specific and complex to carry information. A minimal cell would have to have at least 100 genes to do these different processes. Let's assume each gene is only 66 bases long. Usually they're over 1,000. So if I had 100 genes, 66 bases, that's 6,600 bases or ATCGs. To get the first by random chance, assuming there's just a bowl of them somewhere or a pond of them somewhere, is 1/4 because there are 4 different letters. Now to get the next one right would be another 1/4 and so forth, like flipping a coin. So eventually it'd be 1/4 to the 6,600th, or about 1/10 to the 4,000th. 1 out of 10 to the 4,000th is the probability of a super simple cell. Very, very conservative. To write out 4,000 zeros, yep, a lot of zeros. But the universe is huge and old. How many chances have there been for molecules needed for the first cell to assemble correctly? In other words, how many flips of the coins or rolls of the dice? Well, the total number of events in all time, the total number of collisions of atoms, because you need them for reactions to take place, we can see would be the upper limit of chance for life. If the number is too small, then life would be impossible. So let's calculate that. You could take all the atoms in the universe, multiply by the total number of times they bump into each other, and multiply that times the number of seconds in 20 billion years. You could even up that for a billion trillion other universes if you want to go multiverse. And you would get like 10 to the 45th stars, and you figure out how many atoms are in each star and the planets around it would be, eventually you'd come up with a number like 10 to the 111th atoms in a billion trillion universes. The number of atomic collisions is about this per second for typical atoms, or it's probably more than this. And multiply that by the number of seconds in 20 billion years, or more, 1,000 times more, and the maximum in a billion trillion universes, 1,000 times as old as ours, would be 10 to the 147th events. And these little ones make up all larger events as well. When you move your arm, it's just atoms bouncing. So here's 10 to the 147th. Remember the 4,000th? So there's no realistic chance, even if it were chemically possible, to assemble large molecules. If you're going to appeal to an infinite time and infinite multiverses to overcome these odds, you might as well appeal to a higher eternal intellectual power. Both are metaphysical, but the multiverse has a problem in that where did it come from and how did it get so beautifully designed? So it's less logical because it also needs its own cause. It's just stepping it back one step. It's not really explaining anything. Whereas if you say the ultimate cause is an intelligent, non-material being that is uncaused, that is the final answer. If you want to picture 10 out of 4,000th, and it's like picking the right atom randomly out of the whole universe 50 times in a row, blindfolded. Well, natural selection, right? They can help. It can help create things, right? No, natural selection can only choose something that is already functioning and reproducing. it cannot create new genes for a new trait. Hugo de Vries said, natural selection may explain the survival of the fittest, but it cannot explain the arrival of the fittest. So natural selection is no help. What could design a cell? If it's not chance and natural selection, something else is going on. The only scientifically proven source of information is intelligence. We look for intelligence scientifically, we look for it all the other time in other areas, like the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Teachers look for that when they give tests. Or stone tools, is it just a chipped rock or is it a tool? Or forensics, is it murder or an accident? Now we also have the chicken or egg problem, is that, and this is the irreducible complex problem. You need DNA to make proteins, but you need proteins to make the DNA, or to reproduce it and to express it. So this minimal cell provided here seems irreducibly complex. If you remove just one DNA gene, the whole cell dies. There are no known half cells. In fact, this actual calculation is far less than a half a cell, and it's improbable. The ultimate cause cannot be material, since all we know about energy and matter is that they run down and need their own cause. And the fine-tuning of the laws of nature point to an intelligent cause. So it's logical and reasonable to hypothesize an intelligent creator. So, conclusion, first cell could not form by any known natural chance chemical reactions. Something else is going on. A known source of information and irreducible complexity is intelligence. Thus, in our search for truth, we should be open to an intelligent designer and not limit ourselves just to physical causes. Ultimate origins and destinies are beyond the scope of empirical science anyhow, so if we solve this problem of life's origin, we will never answer the big questions empirically. They are belief presuppositional statements or propositions. Verified near-death experiences, especially of blind people, may provide some empirical, which is scientific, evidence. We know over 500 people saw Christ alive after he was crucified, and many died for their testimony. You don't die for a lie you made up yourself, especially lots of you. And they recorded this, and so that's scientific evidence for the supernatural. Or many of the people who died for this testimony recorded it in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Luke didn't actually see it. So I've been puzzling over this since the 1970s, and since then I've taught biology and biochemistry for over 40 years, including at the college level. And other scientists have seen this problem. Why don't we discuss it more? Is there an anti-supernatural bias? I'm not biased in this because I believe a higher power could make a universe that produces life by random mutations and chance and so forth. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying, how did it happen? So thanks for listening, and if you want to see more details on any of these slides, you can look at my longer presentations. Thank you.